You wake before sunrise, and the first thing you notice is the quiet pressure of responsibilities crowding your chest. Does the unspoken worry about family, deadlines, or health ever loosen its grip? Yet even this laden hush becomes holy when the sky blushes and invites you to trade weight for wonder. The world may feel heavy, but within this pastel gleam a promise whispers, an unburdening waits. You are never asked to shoulder the dawn alone. You sense a refuge who stretches an embrace gentler than the morning breeze, and a breath that carries new beginnings. His strength steadies trembling knees, while his faith lifts faltering vision, preparing a blessing you have not yet imagined. Matthew 11:2-8. His invitation covers every soul bowed by care. The gentle call that carried generations still seeks you now, promising rest where striving ends. So, which anxious stone will you release today? And which quiet desire will you dare entrust to his keeping? Now, as your heart grows still, we step into you, stand at the thin edge between night and morning, sensing the hush that lingers before birds announce the day. All along your shoulders invisible packs have gathered, memories that ache, deadlines that advance like restless waves, questions with no clear shoreline. In this stillness you acknowledge every demanding voice, yet you refuse to let any of them dictate the rhythm of your next breath. Instead, you picture a low stone at the foot of a majestic oak, brushed gold by the first ray, and you decide to set each heavy parcel there. One holds the worry of provision, another the fatigue of yesterday's disappointments, another the silent ache for reconciliation. As they leave your hands, they make a muted thud, and the soil does not tremble, for the earth knows its maker will carry what you relinquish. You whisper their names aloud, not because the Holy One lacks information, but because naming brings hidden loads into the open air where they can be surrendered. Your voice cracks over some packages, steadies over others, and finally softens as you realize none of them define you. At this altar of dawn, accumulation becomes release, ownership becomes offering, and the once a tight knot within your chest loosens like a cord cut free of a mooring. You watch mist drift upward and realize that letting go is not losing, it is gaining room for light. 1 Peter 5:7. The ancient counsel invites you to cast every anxiety upon him because you are cherished. Trust flows easily when affection is certain. Hear the quiet insistence, valued hearts do not need to clutch unnecessary freight. With empty palms you lift your gaze. The horizon is not yet bright, but sufficient glow outlines the path ahead, hinting that guidance waits with the patience of sunrise. Each relinquished concern becomes space for courage. Like breathing out stale air, so lungs can welcome freshness. Where dread once sat, expectancy now crouches, poised to rise with the sun. You recognize that the Mighty One is more than an observer. He bends low, shoulders broad as mountains, gathering every cast-off bundle, transforming them into raw material for tomorrow's mercy. Nothing spills, nothing is misplaced. The transfer is complete. A gentle wind lifts stray strands of hair and cools perspiring skin, as if creation itself applauds your choice to trust. You savor the lightness coursing through veins, once thick with strain, and you feel the subtle shift that comes when surrender outruns self-reliance. This is your unburdening heart, a sacred transaction where heaviness trades citizenship for hope. Carry forward only what love assigns: gratitude, willingness, and quiet confidence, and let grace escort you into the next steps of morning. Stay here a moment longer, inhaling new possibility, exhaling the remnants of night, until you are certain the weight you laid down will not sneak back into your grasp. As light advances, a chorus of sparrows rehearses its refrain, reminding you that even the smallest creature greets the morning without hoarding yesterday. You listen, then answer with silence deeper than speech, allowing gratitude to seep like spring into soil. Within that quiet, you sense a gentle pledge forming. Today you will travel lighter, guided not by pressure but by presence, prepared to receive what the coming hours quietly unfold. You feel the air begin to warm, though sunlight has not yet climbed the horizon, and in that half-lit hush a softness presses against your spirit, like the sanctuary inside a cocoon. The burdens you laid down moments ago no longer cling, and in the cleared space you sense gentle hands drawing you close. Closer than the blanket across your shoulders, closer than the slow rhythm of your own breath. This is not restraint, but refuge. The one who scattered galaxies now curves, his mighty wings around your fragile frame, every feather shimmering with quiet assurance that you still belong. What you once feared would crush you is already being cushioned by mercy. He speaks promises older than the mountains yet fresh. As this dawn, each syllable lands with restorative weight. As Psalm 139:5, the psalmist discovered what you rediscover now. You are hemmed in behind and before. A divine hand rests upon you, so steady that no doubt can slip through the seams. Let that assurance travel downward and watch muscles unclench one by one. Jaw, shoulders, even the small tendons in your fingers. Each release becomes an inaudible amen. A faint fragrance of wet earth drifts through the open window, reminding you that rain softened the ground overnight. Mercy, too, has seeped into the hardened corners of your inner life while you slept, preparing them to receive fresh seed. You picture the Father's arm forming an unbreakable arc, yet velvet to the soul, and you rest your interior ear against the heartbeat that sets seasons in motion, certain that nothing urgent has been forgotten. With eyes still closed, you imagine a meadow at first light, deer grazing without alarm, lilies unfurling quietly, a stream reflecting pale rose in the sky. Creation moves unhurried because it trusts its keeper's embrace. And that same confidence is offered to you. So you slow your breathing, synchronizing inhale and exhale with a declaration whispered into the dawn. You dwell inside love that never loosens. The words hover like mist, then soak in, turning anxiety into warmth and anticipation. Notice what shifts deep within when you accept that you are wholly surrounded. Worry loses leverage, criticism's echo fades, loneliness, though remembered, shrinks to a feather-light memory. Even your plans begin to realign, tilting toward the gentle cadence of divine tenderness. Where urgency once barked commands, patience now waits with open palms. The still small voice speaks not through thunder, but through steady assurance. You are seen, you are safe, and courage is already being poured into the road ahead. Shoulders straighten, not in rigidity, but in readiness. The posture of a child invited to walk beside wisdom. Receive this interval like warm water over tired feet, letting its quiet persuasion wash lingering resistance away. If a new concern tries to intrude, picture it glancing harmlessly against the perimeter of love and sliding aside. Linger until you know this embrace is not momentary, but continual. A circle that will accompany you into traffic, into conversations, into solitude. When the horizon finally breaks gold, you rise, not because burdens are absent, but because presence is certain. Thus you step forward light, confident that whatever awaits will meet you inside this unbroken circle of care. You open the window wide, and cool pre-sun air rushes towards you like living water, lifting the curtains and brushing the tired corners of your mind clean. Each inhale draws in purity older than mountains, yet minted fresh for this hour. Each exhale releases traces of restless dreams that tried to follow you into daylight. You taste dew on the breeze, almost sweet, and realize this quiet exchange of oxygen is heaven's simplest sacrament, an invisible river washing through your lungs, reminding you that life begins, first and always, with breath bestowed. What felt impossible a moment ago now loosens, because nothing oppressive can ride the wind that rises from the Maker's garden. You pause, counting a slow rhythm, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. With every measured cycle, you sense mercy threading bone and marrow, whispering truth into the caverns where worry once echoed. Lamentations 3002-23. The steadfast love that shaped dawn renews compassion with every sunrise. The faithfulness you inhale is not recycled, but brand new, eager to underwrite today's hopes. Let your bloodstream carry this assurance to every cell. You breathe not just air, but promise. Now picture each breath as a seedling stretching toward light, pushing through soil made soft by night rains. The more deeply you draw in, the farther gratitude roots itself, anchoring you against gusts of midday tumult. You sense unseen hands adjusting your internal posture, shoulders aligned, heart unclenched, until your very physiology begins mirroring peace. Even your thoughts fall into cadence, less like scattered leaves and more like wings beating in purposeful formation towards some distant shore of joy. In this hush you remember that the Spirit once hovered over primal waters, breathing order from chaos. That same creative presence hovers within you now, preparing to shape possibilities from today's unformed hours. Let breeze turn to prayer. Whisper, on an exhale, the names of those who weigh upon your conscience. Then inhale courage to intercede for them throughout the day. Breathe out frustration at circumstances you cannot edit. Breathe in confidence that sovereignty needs no revision. Continue until exchange feels effortless, until thoughts no longer sprint ahead or lag behind, but move with the rhythm of holy respiration. Outside, birds practice their first ascending trill, and in their song you detect agreement. The world awakens because breath returns, faithful as tide. Finally, linger at the sill until rising light begins to gild rooftops. Let warmth press lightly against your face, sealing the work of this moment. Resolve that, whenever tension tries to dictate tempo later, You will pause, open internal windows, and remember, every time you breathe, eternity shares its life with you. The valley you cross at noon, the desk you occupy at afternoon's height, the quiet conversation that closes the evening. Each can become sanctuary if you choose to receive and release breath deliberately, letting grace circulate like wind through an orchard. Lift your chin toward the brightening east and step forward, knowing every inhale is an invitation, every exhale an offering, and the cycle itself a silent anthem of trust. You step beyond the window into the day's first shaft of direct brilliance, and warmth spreads across your face like a silent anthem announcing possibility. The golden beam feels weightier than light. It carries resolve, coursing through veins still sleepy from night's retreat. You stretch, sensing sinews loosen, joints awaken, and a quiet conviction rises that tired bones are not the final word. Instead, power borrowed from eternity is about to course through every fiber. Yesterday's failures no longer define endurance. They become compost for resilience. A subtle breeze slips around you, fragrant with jasmine and newly cut grass, and its hush resembles a coach's low encouragement, steady, unhurried, deliberate. Each inhalation gathers courage, each exhalation dismisses lingering self-doubt. You visualize roots beneath your feet drawing unseen nutrients from soil saturated with promise. Strength here is not the clenched muscle of striving, but a river of grace aligned beneath the surface, ready to surge whenever obedience steps out. Isaiah 4:31. The prophet spoke of those who wait, how they mount up on wings like eagles, run without weariness, walk without collapse. This waiting is not passive, it is an active leaning into presence, letting momentum build in stillness until flight becomes inevitable. Your inner eyes lift to imagine that eagle, hovering on thermals higher than storm clouds, vision sharp enough to find nourishment miles below. In similar fashion, your spirit senses provisions scattered throughout today, a kind word ready to bloom on your tongue, a wise pause before reaction, a burst of endurance when tasks multiply. You remember that the Spirit who raised Christ from the grave resides within you, and such resurrection force refuses to remain dormant. Now you rehearse small but deliberate movements of trust. Perhaps a gentle conversation you have avoided, a project that has intimidated, a habit that demands new discipline. Picture the Father's fingers tightening invisible laces on your shoes, secure yet flexible, preparing you to sprint when the moment arrives. Strength here is layered steadiness for the long haul, agility for unexpected turns, and joy that refuses to evaporate under noon's heat. Birdsong swells, weaving harmony through branches as if creation drafts a soundtrack for courage. You absorb its cadence until your pulse matches its rhythm. Then you whisper promises aloud, not to convince heaven, but to align earthly breath with heavenly decree. You will face this day empowered. You will meet each encounter with adequate grace. You will finish with praise instead of depletion. The declarations are soft yet resonate like tuning forks inside ribs, vibrating agreement through marrow. Finally, you stamp each foot gently on the ground, acknowledging contact with reality, yet you feel lighter, as though helium has pooled in your chest. what changed. Nothing external. Traffic still hums. Schedules still wait. But internal horizons have opened, and fresh wind fills unseen sails. You turn toward the path ahead, shoulders relaxed, spine upright, eyes bright, carrying not your own momentum, but the borrowed velocity of an unfailing source. Move forward knowing renewed strength will replenish itself with every obedient step, and exhaustion will bow to the one who authored dawn. You step onto the garden path and feel dew, pearled grass cushion each footfall, almost bowing you above the earth. Surprise flickers. How can limbs once sluggish move with such nimble ease? It is not the trail that changed, but the quiet transfer of confidence from heaven's storehouse to your bloodstream. You picture yourself as a fawn learning its first leaps among wildflowers, unafraid of uneven ground, because watchful eyes follow every motion. The morning breeze gathers at your back like a gentle push, coaxing you forward, and you realize trust can be lighter than calculation, steadier than certainty. Each stride becomes a declaration that unseen hands level the terrain before soles ever touch stone. L2 Corinthians 5:7. This ancient reminder calls you to walk by faith, not by sight. The road may twist beyond perception, yet conviction becomes your compass. When vision is limited, belief shoulders the journey, guiding steps with quiet assurance that reaches farther than eyesight. Now imagine a suspension bridge spanning misty ravine. The planks creak under weight, yet cables anchored to surrounding cliffs render collapse impossible. Your heart, tethered to promises that cannot fray, crosses lifespans with similar poise. You glance sideways and notice fears perched like ravens on nearby branches. But they cannot land on moving feet. Your momentum disorients them. Even memories of failure lose traction once you refuse to stand still long enough for their talons. Forward motion itself becomes a shield, each pace converting potential stumble into holy choreography, transforming doubt into choreography. Sunlight finally crowns the treetops, laying golden ribbons across your route, and in those gleams you sense invitation. Dance with the day instead of merely enduring it. So you try a small skip, perhaps even a twirl, and laughter bubbles, soft, genuine, unfamiliar in its freedom. Light-footed faith delights in surprise blessings, a stranger's smile, an unexpected solution, a pocket of unplanned rest. You resolve to greet such gifts without suspicion, letting gratitude keep ankles supple. Joy, after all, is weightless armor. It deflects cynicism the way morning rays scatter fog. Thoughts of looming obligations surface, yet you handle them like smooth pebbles. Acknowledge texture, then slide them into the river of trust flowing beneath awareness. Each concern drifts downstream while you maintain your pace, eyes fixed on shimmer where water meets sky. You whisper names of loved ones, releasing them into the same current, confident that divine currents steer more wisely than anxious fingers. The path bends, and though you cannot see its end, you feel no need to pause. The rhythm in your chest matches the cadence of purposeful grace. As village rooftops appear ahead, you notice your shoes scarcely bear dust. Traveling light protects even the soles. You commit to carry this agility into meetings, errands, conversations, letting quick forgiveness and quiet humor Keep your spirit pliant. When evening comes, footprints will trace a story of reliance rather than strain, each mark testifying that the God who holds you lightly also grounds you securely. For now, you breathe in dawn's last cool notes. Breathe out resolve to live airborne, though anchored, and continue with steps so gentle that hope can keep pace beside you. You near the village gate just as the sun pushes fully above the rooftops, tipping every tile and treetop with molten gold. In that radiance you feel a quiet commission, the grace gathered through unburdening, embracing, breathing, strengthening, and walking light must now overflow. Blessing is never meant to pool. It is a river designed to irrigate the thirsty ground of other souls. So you pause, palms open, allowing warmth to pool in your fingertips until generosity tingles like sunrise itself, eager for release. First you picture faces you will meet today. Family members stirring coffee, co-workers scrolling through news, strangers whose names you may never learn. You imagine each heart as a garden patch, some tilled and ready, others cracked by drought. You raise an invisible pitcher and pour quiet hope over each plot, a word that steadies, a smile that disarms, a silence that listens more than it explains. Blessing travels faster than speech. Sometimes it is as simple as choosing patience when traffic snarls, or lifting a silent prayer when headlines bruise. Your footsteps become conduits, carrying peace wherever souls touch pavement. You recall the gentle embrace that wrapped around you moments ago and recognize its shape in your own outstretched arms. Mercy received has reshaped posture. Shoulders once bowed now angle outward, prepared to shelter someone else. Look for those whose loads sag heavily. An elderly neighbor balancing groceries, a child grappling with sums, a colleague masking grief behind spreadsheets. One thoughtful gesture can feel like dawn after a long night. Because heaven held you lightly, you can hold another's burden without collapsing. As birds leap from branch to branch overhead, they scatter seeds with every landing, unconsciously planting tomorrow's grove. In like manner, each gracious deed you scatter, no matter how small, becomes a seedling of renewal in soil you may never see again. You trust the gardener to water and increase, liberated from measuring results. Your role is simple. Keep pockets full of kindness and fling them freely into the wind. Walking onward, you sense gratitude rising like a chorus behind you, though lips may never speak it. Gratitude, after all, is not always vocal. Sometimes it drifts as an unseen fragrance, sweetening the spaces you just departed. You breathe that aroma and smile, not for applause, but because you recognize the signature of a generous creator tracing patterns through your ordinary path. Finally, you lift your eyes to the widening sky and whisper a commissioning over your own journey. Move through every corridor, market, and meeting as a bearer of dawn. The declaration settles into your stride. Light-footed faith becomes light-bearing presence, and the day ahead unfolds like an open scroll awaiting fresh ink. Go unafraid, the blessing you send will circle back as evening rest, confirming that when the world feels heavy, God still carries you, and through you, He lightens others. You have traded weight for wonder and wrapped yourself in the quiet strength of dawn. Now let stillness echo inside as duties begin. Hold your heart open to surprise mercies. Notice beauty hiding in routine and offer gentle strength to every weary soul you encounter. Remember, the same hands that held you lightly will guide each gesture of kindness you extend. Breathe slowly, smile often, walk humbly. Let the blessing flow until twilight gathers and peace escorts you home. Listen, one deep inhale, one grateful exhale. Then step into the day,